Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon. Hey guys, it's Vanity. Ezel back at another Card Fight Vanguard Ezel on the Vanity weekly video. So if you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't hit Patreon. So we'll start, shall we? So we got a long one today, so I'm going to keep this intro short because I may or may not have skipped the Ragna reveals last time because there are too many of them and I was running late. So yeah, so we're going to have a lot of reveals and we have a DOTE. That's how you would say it, right? Coming up after this. So let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? First up, our starter that we have for the Ragna booster is Brunhilde, or I'm going to call it Brunhilde, I swear, because that's just what it comes to mind. Grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto when wrote upon if you want second draw card. Standard starter, nothing too special about it. I believe this is the human ride line, and the god ride line is Thor, which I find relatively interesting. Our grade 1 for the ride line is Choosing Victory Brunhilde. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it Brunhilde because that's what comes to mind. Auto when it rides upon Brunhilde. Soul Blast 1, look at the top card of your deck, put it at top or bottom, and draw a card. So, really interesting skill. Granted, it doesn't have a rearguard skill, which is always what I look for in a ride line, so already I'm not liking this, but you at least get to stack the top card and possibly get a better draw out of it. Downside is the other card goes to bottom, but we got an Oracle's Think Tank kind of ride line feel to it, which we already have an XOR, but sure, we can get another one. Then we have Undivided Attention Brunhilde, grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, 10k base, auto when it rides upon Choosing Victory Brunhilde, reveal the top card of your deck if it's a grade 2 or lower human or Valkyrie normal unit, call to rearguard circle, and if it is not, you may put that card at the top of your deck or into the soul. So, really nice, gives you a soul charge, and because I have to ride on top of this, you most likely rode this on top of this, which means you're already down a soul, so it can refund your soul for that, or it could stack it at the top of your deck as a trigger. So all around, I kind of like this ride line. Granted, they are small searches, but they can still net you good drive checks and or free soul. So I like Brunhilde here, even if it doesn't have a rearguard skill. And then our grade 3 for the trial deck ride line, by the way, this is all for trial deck. For the sake of saving humanity, Brunhilde. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Ride, 13k base. Auto is placed on Vanguard Circle. Counter Blast 2 and Soul Blast 1 Brunhilde. Does it just mean card with Brunhilde in its card name, or does it mean specifically this one? Because if it means specifically in its card name, then cool, that's fine. If it means specifically this one, then we have a problem. But look at top 7 cards of your deck, call up to one of each human and Valkyrie to Rearguard Circle. So you get 2 free rear guards, basically, if you have a combination of human and Valkyries, which is really interesting that you want to have a combination of both, so I like the strategy going into this. And act rearguard circle once per turn. If your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 1, 2 of your human or Valkyrie units get +5 for the turn. Really interesting, it says units, which means it implies it can pick itself, because I'm assuming this is a Valkyrie. So, easy way to give power to units if your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater. And not to mention, you can get 2 free calls. Or not 2 free calls, just 2 calls from top of deck. Downsides are cost 2 counterblast, has to be on place, which is not something I like in a card, but it's okay. And it's kind of soul heavy, but this is only the trial deck, and set 1 probably fixes it. Speaking of set 1, we have cards from set 1. Promotion to Surpass Gods, Lubu. Grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto once wrote upon by China's strongest hero, Lubu. I want to call it Liu Bei, but I know it's not. And you draw a card and your Vanguard is +5 for the turn. So, free grade 2 ride line, that if you ride the grade 3, presumably, draw a card, +5. I really wish this was a generic ride line card. When I first saw it, I thought it was a generic ride line card until I read that it required the specific grade 3. If it didn't require the specific grade 3, I would love this card, because I really like the alternative ride line choices that aren't just the main lines. But, Lubu's still good. He looks interestingly weird, so I will give him, And once more, no rearguard skill, so I can't really give him more than that, but I like the ride line skill. Then we have China's strongest hero, Lubu, grade 3, 200, Persona Ride, 13k base. That man looks honestly kind of intimidating. Volde. I probably said that wrong, but I don't know how to say that. Act, Vanguard Circle. If this unit is equipped in your opponent's Vanguard to grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 2, discard 1, and when this unit would attack during this turn, it attacks all your opponent's units in a single battle. Okay, I don't know what Volde is, or to be more that I kind of do. It's just like equipping something. Basically, take Basil Graal's equipment things, and then that's pretty much what happens here, except they're not orders. So, yeah, it's easy, except it gets basically Vermilion skill, to kill the front row, which, okay, that's fine. I expected a bit more, but that's still good for a cost of Soul Blast 2 and discard 1. Are all of the ride lines going to cost Soul Blast 2 for their skills, or is it just these 2? And then act Vanguard Circle once per turn, Counter Blast 2, and this unit gets +5k and a crit for the turn. So, while your opponent's at grade 2, you can ride it on top of this, swing for use its skill, swing for 23 and double critical to face. Yeah, that doesn't sound like much, but I can guarantee you most people will just take the Vanguard attack on grade 3, or at least from what I've seen, first grade 3 turn, unless they're at very high damage. So Lubu kind of has that little bit of pressure that it doesn't need. So, cool. I actually like this one. It feels very interesting. I wish that they would use it in the anime, but I don't think they will. So, cool. Lubu is a good one. Then we have our Volder card, aka the armament, the equipment, whatever we're going to call it. 4th Valkyrie sister, Randgriz. Definitely said that wrong. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Volda, China's strongest hero, Lubu. You may equip this unit onto your Vanguard circle with the correct card name. Yeah, it just says equip. I'm 95% sure it just does the same thing as the sword, shield, gun, and spear from Baz Vagron. You just put it like next to it, or like something of the sorts. Continuous Vanguard circle. When equipped to your Vanguard, this unit gets the following effects for the turn, or just following effects. To continue during your turn, the unit equipped with it gets plus5. Cool. So the turn you use this becomes an 18. Use its skill, becomes a 23. Use this thing's skill, becomes a 28. Cool. 28 double crit, easy. And once per turn, discard 1 4th Valkyrie sister, Randgriz. Choose one of your Vanguards. It gets, if the following effect on the turn, continues Vanguard, all your opponents' grade 0 Guardians lose 5k shield. None of those abilities require the opponent to be at grade 3. So, Vanguard gets a constant +5 during your turn, and you can literally make it so that your opponent cannot, or like their Guardians are 10k shields or lower. Draw triggers literally become 0 shields unless you're using the effect draws. Cool, this thing's amazing for what it is. 4 of, like, not even going to question it. Got good defensive power, got good aggressive, actually just got good aggressive power all around, so there's no reason not to run it at 4. And then we have our God Ride line, starting off with our starter, just Thor, because apparently that was good enough for them. Autumn was Rotopine if you went second, draw a card, nothing too special about it, standard starter. Then we have finally met a worthy rival, Thor, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Autumn when it rides upon Thor, look at the top 7 cards of your deck for a card with Thor in its card name, or Thor order card, and add it to your hand. And continues rear guard during turn, it gets +2. I said I wanted a ride line skill that I want a skill that activates on rear. Yeah, I didn't want the generic +2, but you know, I will take the generic +2 because guess what? It gets it from anywhere at any time as long as it's on your turn. So cool, 10k booster that can search your deck for anything that, or search top 7 for any Thor related card. Cool. Then we have Unleashing Everything at Once. Thor, grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when this unit rides upon finally met a worthy rival Thor, draw a card and this unit gets +5 for the turn. So, cool. They literally just stole this thing's skill, but instead of making it on Rotopon, it's on Ride. So, that's fine. It's still a good skill. And then, Auto Vanaroo, when it attacks, if your opponent has a grade 2, has 2 or less rear guards, this unit gets +5 for the battle. Okay, you know what? I'll take that. It is a 15k swing, which can work really well on grade 2 rush, and even though it's still generic, I still like that because rarely any of the cards actually give +5 for their ride line skills, and it's actually focusing on the deck's main mechanics, kind of ish, not really, but does something. So I will actually give it something in the in the main deck, maybe 2 of in the early, but after we get a good amount of support, not 2, but I'll give it 2 for now. Then we have Thunder Berserker Thor, grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Ride, 13k base, act, Vanguard Circle, once per turn, rest 1 rear guard, search your deck for up to 1 Thor order, add it to hand and shuffle your deck. So by the cost of simply resting 1 rear guard, discarding nothing, counterblasting nothing, soul blasting nothing, you get to search for an order. I'm not even going to argue that. That is like best skill, hands down. And act Vanguard Circle once per turn, counterblast 1, discard 1, kill 2 of your opponents. Where was this with Eugene? Eugene needs that. Counterblast 1, discard 1, kills 2 rear guards? Fuck yeah. You easy skills. You rest 1 rear guard, you get a Thor order. Counterblast 1, discard 1, kill 2 rear guards. This literally gets 1 more rear guard. If they had him full board, 1 more rear guard killed, this thing gets +5. Like, it's simple. It is very simple, and you would think from a card called Thor there would be, like, more flair to it. It does not have flair, but god, that skill is genuinely good. Pardon the pun. I'm not even joking with you. Like, killing 2 rear guards, getting an order search for very little cost? Damn, they better make all these other cards cost a lot if they're going to make that good and cheap. Like, whoo! Not even going to argue this one. 4 of, amazing. Then we have the strongest Nordic god, the strongest Nordic god, god of thunder, Thor. Okay, that one's missing a comma, but okay, I guess grammar doesn't matter. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when it's placed on rearguard circle, and your vanguard is a grade 3 greater card with Thor in its card name. Soul Boss 2, retire an opponent's rearguard on the same column as unit. Cool! More rearguard murdering! Counter Boss 1, discard 1, kill 2 rearguards. Use this one, kill another rearguard. And then continues rearguard during your turn. If your opponent has no rearguard on the same column as it, which it probably won't because of this and this, it gets +5. So 15k swing. Honestly, that's really good. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, this lets you pick your opponent's rearguards, unlike things like, other card. Actually, no, I don't think D has that problem, but my point stands. It allows you to pick your rearguards. So I like this. Easy. It's basically the better grade 2. So yeah, so you don't run the grade 2 of the ride line, just run this because it does the same thing but better. So yeah, 4 of. Not even going to question it. Then we have Thor's Hammer. It is just a close-up on Thor's face and shows nothing about a hammer. Grade 2, normal order Thor. You may play this card if you have a Vanguard with Thor in its card name, draw a card, and one of your units gets +5 for the turn. Cool, okay, very simplistic, but, you know, gets you the draw replacement when you play it / when you use this thing skill, and you get to give someone a +5, so, you know, maybe just make your Vanguard slightly stronger just for that little bit of more power gain. So I like it, and it's for free, too. There's no cost to it besides having a Thor Vanguard, so I give it, like, a hot 4/3 just because of how good it can be. Then we have Thor's Legend, passed down through the ages. Grade 3, normal order, Thor. If you have a Vanguard with Thor in its card name, counterblast 1 to play it. One of your Vanguards gets +10 for the turn, and during this turn, when that unit attacks, your opponent cannot call Sentinels from hand to guard circle. And if your opponent has no front or rear guards, which they won't if you are just sitting on Thor, it gets +20 instead of 10. So the funny thing is, this doesn't require your opponent to be at grade 3, which means Vanguard can just swing for 23, no Sentinels, actually no, 33, no Sentinels to face, and they can't do anything about it while they're at grade 2. If it did not require Thor, this motherfucker right here would probably be broken and would probably hit a ban list or two, or one of these two, or they would hit the choice restriction list. But, yeah, not even going to question it. 4 of in a Thor deck, genuinely, because from what I've seen, this is the only one that costs Counterblast, and frankly, it's very minuscule at that. Then we have some helpful cards for Brancate, pardon that pun too. Helpful monster Tectan, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when it's discarded from your hand during your turn. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and choose up to one set order from among them. Reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. Cool, gets a free search of a set order while you're discarding for your ride line and other discard abilities. We don't have many discard abilities, so just free discard for your ride line, and you get more orders, which is a plus for every Brancate deck so far. And who knows what the Brancate ride line is going to do for the Cross Cray epic cards, so you know maybe it does revolve around set orders and this becomes more helpful. So 4 of or 3 of in a lot of Brancate decks because it can get free searches. Then we have Stepchild of Variable Stars, grade 1 boost 5k shield 7k base, continues rearguard during your turn. This unit gets +2 for each set order in your order zone. Okay, Prison doesn't do that much with this because if it just says for each card, then Prison would be broken with this. Orpheus does okay with this but doesn't really need it. And Gravidia. Swing with this first. Always swing with this first, because Vanguard will get rid of the orders, but it's really good in the early game, and always swing with it first. So, somewhere in the range of 2 to 3, but I'm not ever going to say 4 with this, unless, once more, the Brancate red line reveals that it needs the set orders and can spam out just as much Gravidia, but doesn't do anything with them. Then we have Sinking the Strongest Partner, Lubu. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rear when it's boosted by a Valkyrie. This unit gets +5 for the turn, for the battle. So it's a 15k swinger. And presumably with a boost, it would at least be a 20k. So yeah, Lubu gets numbers, I guess. Like, at least a 10k drop. So I'll take it. I'll give it a 3 of, even though it's in a Shroud deck. Then we have Great Compassion Adam. This naked motherfucker is a grade 2 intercept 10k power, 5k shield. Continues guard circle. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater Mankind or Valkyrie unit, this unit gets +5k shield. So 10k intercept, I guess, if your Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, most likely. Once more, it has to be a Mankind or Valkyrie, but still. I'm going to do any excuse to get off this card, so I'm going to give it a 2 of. Then we have Tier Knight Freche, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto rear. When it attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, this unit gets +5k into the battle for each of your token units. So, Roroa, who just stepped up in power a lot. Like, if you have mostly a full board of tokens, well, okay, you won't. You would most likely have 3 tokens on board. So 5 plus another 15, so 20 plus this, so 30 without triggers or Persona Ride. That's pretty good. That is honestly pretty good. And this deck can spam out tokens pretty easily. And now, in worst case scenario, if you had 4 tokens, well, it's 35 without Persona Riser triggers. But most likely that won't happen. It would just be the 3. So Freche is really good. And if you do a build focus solely on like Roroa plant tokens and not Momoke tokens at all, this thing hits crazy numbers. So 4 of. Definitely a 4 of. Or a Roroa deck. Or maybe 3 of. Then we have Fighting for Her Sake, Foss the 8th, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto one's put on rearguard circle from hand. If you're a Vanguard with a Sakura Yo or Wooden Sword Ryu in his card name, counterblast 1, choose a Shaman from your drop zone with a grade equal to or less than your Vanguard and call it to rear. Cool, so call from drop. And giving my best regards, Wooden Sword Ryu, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rear once per turn. When your Vanguard with a Sakura Yo or Foss the 8th and its card name hits a Vanguard, Soul Blast 2 to stand this unit. So what I've seen from the Sakura Yo, Wooden Sword Ryu, and Foss the 8th over here is that all of them require the other 2 ride lines to actually have their skills go off, which means you cannot use the copy of them in their own ride line. Like, you can't use this Ryu in the Ryu ride line because it doesn't have a skill with it. You can't use Foss the 8th in the Foss the 8th ride line. You can't use Sakura Yo in the Sakura Yo ride line unless they made a way for us to use all of them at once in the same ride line. But either way, still good. Easy restand. Easy call. I think these 2 are the better ones out of the 3. And no offense to the Sakura Yo one, I just like these 2 better. So I think the Sakura Yo ride line is just going to be better to run, especially because they have evolution so far. So yeah, so I'm going to go 3 of on each of them. Then we have Unwavering Determination, Brunhilde, grade 3, 200, Persona Ride, 13k base, a triple rare, so already we're having the evolution for the Brunhilde ride line. Active Vanguard Circle once per turn, discard a grade 3 or greater card with Brunhilde and its card name from your hand. Okay, cool, we discard a grade 3 or greater. And until end of turn, this unit gets continuous Vanguard. All your Humanity or Valkyrie use gets +5. So, all of them get +5, including itself, because I'm assuming this is a Valkyrie or a human. So, +10 to whole board if you have a full board, and presumably they would all be humans or Valkyries. Cool. In Auto Vanguard Circle, when this unit attacks, counterblast 1, choose a Humanity or Valkyrie unit card from your drop zone, call it to Rearguard Circle, and that unit gets +5 for the turn. So, get multi-attack and more power, because since it would be Humanity or Valkyrie, most likely would have used this card effect, +10. Cool, I thought the other one was cost heavy. Yeah, this one's a bit more cost specific, but it's still better, because it doesn't cost 2 Soul Blasts and isn't an on-place, so 4 of this in a Valkyrie deck. I'd honestly say you might not want to replace this Valkyrie as the main grade 3. Just have it in the ride line for field spam on one turn, and then ride this the next turn, but it's still good regardless, so I'll give it a 4 of. Then we have Gods vs. Humanity Final Struggle. We also got another over trigger that does the same thing, just with a different art showing the gods. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k base. Additional effect until end of turn. All of your front row Humanity or Valkyrie units get +10, and choose one of your rear guards and stand it. So there's another over trigger that does the same thing, except for the god archetypes instead. So really good. Just +10 and a stand. So extra front trigger and an extra stand, and you can abuse it with Brunhilde, and you could probably abuse it with Thor too, depending if we get a Thor evolution, but considering Thor was the triple rare of the booster set, I doubt that, so yeah. Then we have Framing Pony, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, act soul, bind this unit, soul charge 2. Very simple. I guess it's okay-ish Dark State support considering we got Chaos. Not really, but it can work. I'll give it a 2 of. I mean, it can also work in Baron Magnus, so Then we have Knight of Modesty, Frida, grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto was placed on rearguard circle during your main phase. If you have a Vanguard Blaster in its card name, Soul Blast 1, look at top 5, call up to 1 grade 2 or lower blaster from among them to rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. And if your card was called, discard a card from your hand. I'm assuming this is a hint to what MLB will do, because PBD, in my opinion, doesn't really need the Blaster ride line. Like, okay, yes, it needs Blaster Dark, and it kind of needs PBD, but it doesn't need Blaster Javelin, and it doesn't super need PBD. It only needs it for the main. So, yeah, I think this is Frida's a nice, and plus of how it looks, I think Frida's a nice representation of what MLB will probably look like, where it kind of focuses on spamming the board with blasters. So I'm gonna give Frida a 3 of or 4 of, depending on what what MLB does. And then we have Steam Maiden Barni, more support for Chaos. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto when it's placed on rearguard from hand. If you have 8 or more cards in Soul with different card names, counterbalance 1, choose a grade 1 or lower card from Soul, call it to rearguard circle. If you have 10 or more cards with different card names, you may call it grade 4 or lower instead. So basically, either call grade 1 or lower, or if you have that 10 or more, you still call 1, but it can be any grade that's grade 4 or lower. Okay, I don't think this thing's really good for support, because 1, you can't loop it because of how they worded its skill, but 2, you're kind of losing a soul because they all have to be different names. Granted, if you have duplicates, that's a way to get one of them out of soul, but kind of has a bit more strategy to the Chaos Soul charging, so maybe not a set 5 card I would run, but if we got more support for them that can make different card names in soul, then okay, then I would run it, but for now, I don't think I'm going to run it. If I do, it'd probably be at a 2 over 3 of. Then we have Indecade Arrow Dragon. Grade 2, Intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto is placed on Rearguard Circle, reveal the top card of your deck. If it has a different card with name than the cards in your soul charge 1. You don't do anything with the revealed card, so either it just stays on the top of the deck if you have a copy of it in soul, or if you don't, it just goes straight to soul. So you don't have a choice in the matter. Either it stays there, or it just goes straight to soul. Good news for you is, if it's the over trigger, it's staying there. But bad news for you is your opponent knows it's coming and is probably going to be prepared for it. But Indecade Arrow is pretty nice, easy soul charger. It does it for free. It's amazing. It can be placed from anywhere. I go to 4 of in a Chaos deck. And then we have Devoting Herself Randgriz. Great, now we have another one. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto rear, when this unit boosts a Rearguard Lubu in its card name. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Valkyrie, or a Vanguard Lubu in its card name, counterblast 1, and until end of that battle, when your opponent would call cards from hand to guard circle, they would call 2 or more at the same time. Cool, forcing out extra guards on the Rearguard one, which means if this thing, if I can get back to it, if this one's on the Vanguard circle, they're going to have to waste a PG on it and another 2 hand cards. So, yeah, Lubu's terrifying. So, arm it, call this, make your opponent feel scared. Then we have Devoting Herself Regeneleaf. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear when it boosts a Rearguard with Adam in its card name. If you have a grade 3 or greater Valkyrie, Vanguard, or Vanguard with Adam in its card name, counterblast 1, this unit gets +5 for the turn. At the end of the battle, return the boosted unit to hand. I don't know what has Adam in its card name because we have yet to encounter one, but hey, Regeneleaf is still pretty good, can bounce a unit to hand, and can get herself own power, so I have nothing against her, and I give her a 3 for that. Our next cards are more support for Blaster Blade, or MLB, or just Royal Paladin Rideline in general. It's Knight of Loyalty Bedivere. Grade 2 Intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when it's placed on Rearguard Circle from hand. If your Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, counterblast 1, soul blast 1, switch over for a Knight of Friendship K, call it to Rearguard Circle, same column as you, and shuffle your deck. Yes, we all know Bedivere and K, the two, I want to call them siblings, but what I call siblings of big brother who is calling younger brother to come help him, and they work together beautifully and work in perfect harmony, which is what siblings don't do, which is why we can't call them siblings. But yes, they I don't know why. Back in the OG, I don't think Bedivere and K are that good. Back in V, I think they were amazing because they could call each other, and now only one of them can call the other one. And what I mean by that is, while Bedivere is good because he can get K onto board, K is not okay. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield at K base, continues Rearguard. During the battle that it boosts a Knight of Loyalty Bedivere, this unit gets +5k shield, gets +5k power, Knight of Friendship K. So it's 13k booster, but only when it boosts Knight of Loyalty Bedivere. It's specifically this Bedivere, which means you cannot use it in Premium and then use the Bedivere with a GB1 because it specifies Knight of Loyalty Bedivere. I don't know why Bushy thought that was a good idea. And then this is a double rare, by the way. I know K and Bedivere are supposed to support each other, because that's how it's always been. They've always supported each other. Like in V, they could literally call each other out. Or was that their G versions? I know one of the two versions could just call the other one out, or add the other one to hand. But point is, like, I don't know. I don't think they did good with K. Like, Bedivere is really good. Like, even if it's just one skill, he gets K onto the board. K no longer can get Bedivere, and its literal only skill is useless unless it has Bedivere. I wish it had another skill, like maybe, I don't know, when it's placed on rear, discard, Soul Blast 1 and discard 1. If your Vanguard's great, they're gonna get a Bedivere. What I really like about them is they're both interchangeable with any deck. Like, as long as they're both in there, it works. It doesn't matter what your main grade 3 is. It can be Bash, it can be Hex Orb, it can be PBD, it can be PBO, it can be freaking MLB for all I care. It could be a random ass grade 3 that you put in there just to put in there. As long as you're on a grade 3, these two work. Downside is, Bedivere is actually good because it can get its supporter out. K literally cannot do anything if Bedivere is not on the board. I don't know why Bushy made them like this, and I love K a lot. Like, K saved my ass so many times in a lot of games. And it's really disappointing to see K get kind of shafted here. I never liked Bedivere. I still think he's good. I just never liked him, but I hate to see them shaft K like this. Like 3 of K, 4 of Beva, because this is effectively useless without this. And then we have Bonds of Fortitude, Tao Ren, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rear when it attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard. If your Vanguard has Hororo or Truckle Love in its card name, this unit gets plus 10 for the battle. At the end of the battle, if the attack hit, counterblast 1, your opponent discards 1. So either they just guard this with at least a 10k shield, or they just take this and lose a hand card anyways. Difference is they're forcing you to counterblast. So, you know, I don't think this is triple rare quality. It's definitely just a free on-swing 20 if your Vanguard is one of the other 2 ride lines, which is nice. And it has an on-hit to make them discard. Downside is, I think the discard is more of a benefit towards the opponent than you, unless like this is the final turn and they're trying to conserve their guarding power, because at that point they're just forcing you to discard to get rid of one of their hand cards that they could have just guarded the attack anyways. So the only real benefit out of it is that you're dealing them a damage and making them discard, but in reality, you're losing counterblast. And in some decks that might be a problem, but I do like the discard aspect, and I like this card, so I would give it a 3 of, or 4 of. In a Hororo and Truckle Love deck. Remember, it's just like the other support cards that we've been getting, where they're not for their own ride lines, but they're for their partner ride lines. Speaking of which, if you thought the other team deck was weird, we have Team the Lotus. By the assumption that I see all 3 ride lines in, I'm going to assume they're a team called the Lotus in the anime, but I might be wrong. Grade 2, normal order. This thing looks like a set order, and so does the other one, and I hate the fact that neither of them are. Normal order, you may play this card if you have a Vanguard, Tao Ren, or Hororo or Truckle Love in its card name. So once more, works for all 3 of them. Choose one of each of your units with Tao Ren, Hororo, and Truckle Love in their card names, and they get plus 5k for the end of turn. Choose one of each of your units from each. Choose one of each from your units with. Okay, so basically, at max, you will only ever get 3 units with that plus 5, but that's still pretty good if you have a combination of the 3. And if you have chosen 3 units for this effect, and you do not countercharge this turn, countercharge 1. So possibly plus 10 to a column, and countercharging 1 for a literal free order. Cool. And by the looks of it, if I remember this correctly, Hororo is the one that actually uses orders out of these 3. So I think Hororo just scored a really good card. I think Hororo is going to be the main one, and then these 2 are going to be the supporting grade 3s. I could see it being the other way around, and this one being the support grade 3. I mean, the main grade 3. Or this one. I could see them all, because this gets a restand. This does fucker with the hand, and then this just does order plays, but I don't know. I like the name, though, the Lotus. I don't like the part, but I do like the word Lotus. I don't know why, I just liked it so much. So I'll give it a 2 of in these decks, because I'm not so sure how any of these decks work outside of what I remember barely from them, but it should work fine. Our final reveals, which when I tell you Bushy had a field day with these, they definitely did. So first up we have Cubic Magus for your Oracle Think Tank. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Active Vanguard or Rearguard. Once per turn, put one of your Rearguards with Magus and its card name to your soul. Look at the top 2. Return 1 to the top of the deck and return the other to... return them both to the top of the deck, and you get to draw a card. So, standard Magus ability, weirdly enough, I was just using Magus like a few days ago, and I definitely kind of got the feeling that my Magus deck didn't have enough soul. Cubic kind of fixes that and still gets to stack the top deck, so I still like that. And auto Vanity once per turn. At the end of the battle of this unit tactic, if you have 6 or more units with Magus in their card names, counterblast won't stand this unit. So if you have full board of Magus, stand it. Okay, nice little introduction there, because a lot of the Magus grade 3s have the chance to increase power of drive checks and increase the amount of drive checks of that. So being able to stand a unit and give a bunch of drive checks to it for 4 attacks in a turn is pretty good, so I'll give Cubic Magus a hot 4 in a Magus deck. Then we have a new Shadow Paladin card. Thank God, I can stop ridiculing witches. Witcher of Precious Stone Dana, grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto was placed on Vanguard or Rearguard. You may choose one normal unit with Witch in its card name from your drop, put it to the bottom of your deck, and if you did not put, and your opponent has 3 of those cards in drop, they mill the top 3 cards of their deck. I am a sucker for mill cards, but that's the worst mill card I've ever seen, just because it requires them to have 3 or less cards in drop, and then it automatically puts them there. But either way, I love Dana, because if you play it early enough, this is essentially a mill 6, and I like that. Not to mention that it can just send one of your units back to your deck, and if you don't send something back, they got a mill 3, so... Amazing grade 1 ride target, and then active Rearguard Circle. If you have Vanguard Witch in its card name, rest this unit, your opponent chooses 2 grade 0 units from the drop, calls them to Rearguard Circles with grade 1 or grade units on them. Okay, so it's not much. We only have 1 more witch to add to the total 4 witches that are actually good with each other in V, as a good with each other, not just good, because that would also include domain, but good with each other in V. And Dana kind of adds to that, because she, actually adds consistency with the force call of 2 units. As long as she doesn't die, you could use her each turn, and not to mention she's just non-place mill 3, if they have 3 less cards. So Dana all around is really good. 4 of. Then we have Bolt Shaker Dragon. We just got a bunch of promos for the nations. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear. When your opponent's rear guards retire during turn, so plus 1 of this unit gets plus 5 for the turn. Clearly you're meant to use this in Eugene, but even then Eugene I don't think retires that much. Or at least I have now run into situations where Eugene would retire enough where this thing would be getting more than plus 10 each move. I mean, yeah, I have ran into some scenarios, but having a Soul Blast, one for each of them, not really worth it, especially when you want to use 5 of your Soul Blast to get a board. So Bolt Shaker is a... If they give us more Soul Chargers, yes, you could use this in Eugene effectively, but as of now, 2 of maybe. Then we have Diabolos Charger Warren, grade 3 200 Persona Rate, 13k base. Man, this thing looks like it could be a main grade 3 on its own. Active rearguard circle when it attacks. Auto rearguard circle when it attacks. If you're in Final Rush, counterblast 1 soul charge 1, choose one of your units, it gets plus 10 for the turn. I complained about Bruce not giving us numbers. This still gives us a soul charge and gives us numbers. My only thing against this is that it requires a counterblast, and the new Bruce having a counterblast cost. So I am torn between, do I run this thing that I love the art of and I love the effect of, or do I not run it for the sake of consistency on counterblast? I don't know, but thankfully my prayers have been answered on getting a power on a unit that restands. So 4 of Warren, or 3 of Warren if you choose to run it. At this point I'm unconsidered. I don't know if I want to run it or not. Then we have, probably in my opinion, one of the best Sylvan Horn Beast cards that I'm never going to run. Sylvan Horn Beast Maferus, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 9k base, auto when it intercepts, discard a card from hand. I'll get top 2 and they call both to guard circle, go to drop. So, either so when it intercepts, you get 2 more shields. So basically Salonius from Gargate, except it can intercept and not go to soul, which is back in the original, or back before the grade 4 Magnolia, I say would have been honestly better. Maferus is amazing, because he can possibly get you a PG, because if I remember correctly, the PGs activate from anywhere, as long as they're placed, not from hand. So, Maferus is a really good grade 2. Downside is I'm never going to run it, just because, like, I never need something like this, because I want to make my deck as aggressive as possible, and relying on the defensive option is not my strong suit, so I probably never use this, but hey, if the deck ever needs defensive cards, I know who to turn to, because Maferus just does it for you, so hot 3 of in a Sylvan Horn Beast deck. Now we have new heals in BT5. Yep, we got new heals. So first up we have Stealth Fiend Amaviera, grade 0 boost, 10k shield, 4k base. So their shield values have dropped, and so is their base power. But auto when it's placed on guard circle, if your opponent's attacking unit, not vanguard, has attacked 2 or more times this turn, this unit gets plus 15k shield until end of the battle. It is active if this battle is on the second attack of this turn or more. So basically what that means is not the unit that's attacking has attacked 2 or more times, but it's just in general, if your opponent has attacked you 2 or more times, you can activate this shield cost. So the first battle is not going to happen, but afterwards your heals are basically 25k shields. So overall heals have become a lot better. They have become 25k shields now, and that's really good. The only downside is, like, for that first attack they are always weaker. Some decks I can see that affecting, or at least for me, some decks I can't. But Amaviera seems really nice, and all nations are getting this one, so I don't know, new heals, I'm not so sure how to feel about them, but I like them more than Heal Guard, so I might just get them a 4 of. Then we have Kier Flare Dracokid, grade 0 boost, 10k shield, 4k base. Guess what? It's another effect heal. I don't know if everyone's getting this one. I know everyone's getting at least this one. But auto when it's placed on guard circle, if the attacking unit's critical is 2 or greater, and its critical is increased by an ability other than a trigger effect, or its original critical is greater than 2, or is 2 or greater, this unit gets plus 15k shield for the battle. So as long as it wasn't increased by a trigger effect, like if it's one of those decks that are just naturally like that, like Sanctuary Guard, cool, 25k shield. So, in my opinion, I prefer this one, just because, like, it is a 25k shield, it's a lot easier to hit. This one only goes against those more aggressive decks, I guess is what to be called, but even then I don't think all of them increase critical that much. Like in Premium, yes. In Premium, yes, I will probably run these. In D, I would consider running this one. This one I wouldn't, or at least for now I want to consider this one. Even though I like its art, I think this one should be more useful because its 25k shield ability activates a lot easier, but I still might not run it just because for those early battles, who knows, I might still run it. I genuinely don't know, I'm kind of in between them, but either way, good shield options, 2 of with normal heals, or just straight up 4 ofs. And then we have just images of the BT5 heals, Darkseid's one, Branke one that looks like a Blaze Maiden, Keter one that looks like a Genesis card, and Stoichea one that literally looks like an angel trying to cosplay as a Diabolos. Then we have our Thegrea ride line. So, cross epic, Creature Sanctuary. First up, we have Knight of Integrity Thegrea, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto 1 second draw a card. Nothing too special about it. But what I've learned is this is not a Genesis ride line. At least I don't think it is. I barely read these cards before I started this video, and I'm pretty sure, or at least this part of the video, and I'm pretty sure that this is a gold ride line, which makes me really happy, but I might be wrong. So first up we have our grade 1, and Beneath the Brilliant Light Thegrea, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. I love the angel little ears, so that makes me kind of think it's a gold powder ride line. Auto is upon by Harsh Training Thegrea, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a grade 2 or less unit card, you may call it to rearguard circle's rest. If not, you return it to the original spot, if you do not call, and then glitter 65 regalias. So either you get a free top 2 call, so kind of like Javelin, except Javelin allows you to call anything. This really allows you to call grade 2 or less unit card. And if not, it goes to the top of deck. So Javelin's slightly better for this skill because they do the same thing, except one of them actually does it a lot better. But, you get a free trigger to top, so it's fine. Actually, I think Javelin might just retire the card in general, so I think Thegrea is actually better. But, getting a free trigger check is amazing. So one of in the right deck, no in the main deck. Then we have Harsh Training Thegrea, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base. Beautiful artwork with the sword. Auto is sword pawned by a grade 3 with Thegrea in its card name. Yeah, there's a reason why they say it that way. To look at the top 5, choose up to 1 card of Thegrea or Maple, and its card name for among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. It's a glitter that 6 for 5 regalias. So, it works with either of the 2 Thegreas. Yes, we have 2 Thegrea grade 3s. It searches your deck for either Persona Ride, or searches your deck for your glitter card, and it does it all for free. So I really love this card. I think it's amazing. I love its art. I love the transparency of the background. One of in the right deck, unfortunately not in the main deck. Then we have my favorite one out of the group, One Who Walks the Path of Light, Thegrea. Just by looking at that name, that made me think this was a gold powder ride line. Grade 3 200 Persona Ride, 13k base. Beautiful sword. Amazing background. Amazing work with the wind. And I even left Thegrea in this one too, so I will give this thing a hot 10 out of 10 in my art books. But continues the normal ride from hand of a unit with Thegrea, and its different card name from this unit on this unit also becomes a Persona Ride. So pretty much, this unit's on the Vanguard Circle, and another Thegrea unit in your hand would be placed on top of this unit, even if it has a different card name, as it would still be considered a Persona Ride, which means you can use the 2 Thegrea units together to have 2 Persona Rides, which is really nice. Basically meaning every turn is a guaranteed Persona Ride. And then auto active Vanguard Circle once per turn. Current boss will look at top 5, choose up to 2 grade, choose to 1 grade 2 or less card from among them, call it to rearguard circle and shuffle your deck, and if One Who Blossoms in the Dark Thegrea is in your soul, choose up to 2 instead of 1. Okay, so we got some Cecilia action going on where you get to increase the amount of calls, so nice, if you have the specific grade 3 in soul. And auto Vanguard Circle, at the end of the battle it attacked something. If this was placed by riding from One Who Blossoms, so from One Who Blooms in the Dark Thegrea this turn, discard a card from your hand and choose one of your rearguards and stand it, and it has glitter the 6 of fire regalias. So, free Persona Ride with any Thegrea deck. So you just run 4 copies of each for Thegrea, and you guarantee to have Persona Rides every time you ride. Has the ability to look at top 5 and call 2. And as long as it was placed from One Who Blooms in Dark, you can stand a rearguard. Cool. All around I see a lot of abilities. It's versatile. It can work with the other Thegrea, and it can get you a board. I love this card so much. I love its name. I love its art. I love its skill. 3 in the main deck, 1 in the right deck. And then we have One Who Blooms in Dark Thegrea. Now you can obviously interchange between the 2 ride lines. Me personally, I think it's better to raid on this one and then set on the other one, but here's what this one does. One Who Blooms in the Dark Thegrea, grade 3 200 Persona Ride, 13k base, continues the normal same unit as this one basically. So, if this is on your Vanguard Circle and you ride this from your Vanguard Circle, then the Persona Ride activates. And then active Vanguard Circle once per turn, retire 2 grade 2 or less rearguards, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, kill it, and then if One Who Walks the Path of Light Thegrea is in your soul, retire all your opponent's rearguards in the same column as the chosen unit. So, if you nuke 2 rear guards and you have this in soul, you nuke 2 rear guards in the opponent's field. So fair exchange. And auto Vanguard once per turn. At the end of the battle they attacked, if this unit was placed by writing from one who walks the path of light Thegrea this turn, counterblast 1 and discard 1, stand this unit, lose a drive for the turn, glitter. Honestly, I do think this is the better one to ride, not from the ride deck, because the restanding of Vanguard is always very threatening, and being able to kill more units is better. So getting that, yeah, you're only calling 1 unit out of it, but I think riding this first and then riding this second is better. That's just my opinion, but I would honestly take this over the Finisher, because I don't like this one very much, just because of like the dark aspect. I love this one though, just by pure looking at it, and I really wish it still didn't rely on the other one to be in the deck, because if it didn't, I would be so satisfied with this deck. But still, it's amazing, so I give them both a 4 of. Then we have Atrocious Moth Girl Maple, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto drop when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed during your ride phase. If you do not have a unit with Maple in its card name, you may call this card to rearguard circle. If there are 2 copies in drop, you may only call 1. Which is unfortunate, but it's basically a free call. So, because you're going to be constantly trying to persona ride, so free call, which is really nice. And then Glitter Thegrea, if activate, if your Vanguard has Thegrea and its card name, I'm going to be able to stop saying that in a second, so I'm really glad we're almost done with this. Auto rare at the end of the battle that this unit attacked, soul boss 1 or more cards, choose one card from your soul with the same card grade as the sum of the grades soul boss for this cost, and put it into soul and put this unit to soul. What? So soul boss 1 or more cards, choose a card from your soul with the same grade as the sum of the cards, put it to your hand. Okay, so you get a PG, you can literally just keep swapping the grade 3s around with this, and you still get this thing added to soul. So Maple is amazing. I think it's a really good support card, and I love it. I'll give it a 4 of, because it's amazing in this deck. And then we have our last 2 cards, which, as I accidentally spoiled, are Burning Horn and Dragonic Overlord the End. If I were to go into full passion, then I would wake the people up around me. So Burning Horn Dragon, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. All items placed on rearguard circle, counterblast 1, look at top 7, reveal to 1 Overlord card in its card name, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you did not reveal, countercharge. So you either just get a free look at the top 7, even if you're not going to add anything, you just get a countercharge out of it, and you just get the chance to shuffle your deck. Or you can get an Overlord to hand, which is really nice. And on the rear, when your Vanguard Overlord and its card name attacks, this unit gets +5 for the turn. So 15k swing. But that's only when it attacks, which means if your Vanguard attacks multiple times, this unit keeps getting +5, which means in theory, if you use this with premium, this thing could swing, your Vanguard would swing 3 times, meaning this thing would hit +25. So, I mean 25k, not +25. So Burning Horn's a really good grade 2, nice searcher, nice skill, 4 of. Then we have Dragonic Overlord the End. He stands once more with the beautiful swords and light piercing darkness in the background. That is very different wording than I want it to be, but still. Grade 3 Tinja Persona at 13k base. Continues Vanguard during your turn. If your soul has Dragonic Overlord in it, this unit's drives cannot decrease by card effects, and it gets +5. So if your opponent had some way to decrease card effects, which if the rate Bushy is going to happen eventually, you can't do it with Overlord. It'll be an 18k base, and its skills can't even decrease its own drive checks. And auto Van, once per turn, at the end of the battle they attacked, counterblast 1, discard 2, stand this unit, lose your drive for the turn. But if you have an Overlord in soul, it is an 18k swing, the end of the battle that is swinged into anything, counterblast 1, discard 2, stand it, no lose drive minus, and you're just getting your twin drive back. So, all around the end's pretty good. It doesn't make you refund your cost. If you're on the original, if you had the original Overlord in soul, still gets a good amount of drive checks. The only downside is that because its restand skill is inherently technically worse than the current Overlord in D, it's kind of like meh when it comes to that, to where you have to run the original Overlord in the ride line for now, because what ended up happening is like PBO doesn't need it because you can just domain the other one to soul. This one you don't have something that can send it to soul, and if you did, cool, but unfortunately you don't. But I don't mind waiting for 1 turn, because the End is a really good card and a nice card to sit on, so I'll give it a hard 4 because this thing's amazing. And that's it for the reviews. So if you guys enjoyed, all around, they're really good. I like the End. I like Burning Horn. I love the Thegrea ride line. I'm glad I finally have a gold ride line to call my own, even if I don't like the dark one. It's amazing. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.